I abandoned my son many years ago and he wants to reconnect with me. In 1992 my then on and off girlfriend got pregnant and had our first son. At the time, I was working for a landscaping company making pennies and was in no way emotionally or financially ready for a child. I wasn't mature enough for that yet. I let my cowardice get the better of me. I accept full responsibility for my actions. Rather than being a man and taking care of my son, I fled. I left St. Louis for Colorado. I had a friend who had set up a job for me and I went after it, completely leaving my son and his mother alone. Life went on and I did my best to forget about them. I would tell myself that I'll go back when I'm ready, but I never really made plans to do it. As time went by I met someone, got married, started a business and started a family. I had 4 kids. The oldest is currently 19 and the youngest 7. I was able to provide a very good life for my family, and late last year, around my oldest son's birthday, I finally faced the fact that I had completely abandoned him and didn't even know if he was alive at this point. I left him and his mother poor and living in a bad area. It's likely he could have been in jail or dead. I decided to confess this to my wife and my children. It was a very rough week for my wife. When we finally told my kids, they were rightfully furious and demanded that I find their brother and let him know he has a family. I ended up being able to get in contact with his mother. After a long conversation she hung up on me and then days later called and told me how hard it was for my son to grow up without his father and how much he suffered. All the nights he cried, the teams he quit, the fights he got into, the identity crisis he went through. She told me everything, and at the end she told me that I could come because she thought he would want to meet me. She also told me about the man he became without me. He's a medical student on scholarship at Washington University and he volunteers for Big Brothers Big Sisters. He's become one hell of a young man. No thanks at all to me. I took my wife and I flew out to see him. Our first meeting went roughly since I said the wrong thing to him. I foolishly told him I was proud of him and he took exception to that, rightfully so. After he cooled down we sat together and had lunch. We had a great conversation. We laughed and bonded a little. I told him about his siblings and he tensed up. He said he wasn't anywhere near ready to talk about them. I don't blame him. They grew up in a situation he dreamed about and he grew up in hell. He said that he wants to get to know me and eventually his siblings, but that it has to be slow and certainly not during while he's busy with school. He said he has some time in the summer and that he'd fly out to Colorado and we could do some outdoorsy things together. My question is, how do you think this is best approached? What would you tell me to keep in mind while spending time with him? What should my mindset be going in?